Hi all, and welcome to this video on how we can use the Bassett lesson and the different elements of the Bassett lesson to challenge the thinking of all of our students. This is as a follow-up to our inset on the 24th of November, where we looked at some different elements to help extend the thinking of our students. Now, within the four different elements of our Bassett lesson, we can look at extending the thought processes of our students from shallow through deep up to a profound level of thought. Now, we did speak on the day about how this could be a journey through the lesson, how maybe the activate could be the shallow part, the demonstrate and apply is the deeper part of the thought process, and then the review showing the profound learning. But actually what we can also look at is how each of these three thought processes can be achieved in each discrete element of the lesson. So one of the challenges that we put out there was, what does a profound activate, for example, look like? How do we get to a point where our activates are operating at a profound level? So just to break down the model in terms of how we might challenge thinking, shallow thought processes are very much about temporary learning. Now, this could be an activity that is just designed to engage a student in an activity, but actually the learning as an outcome isn't the main focus of it. It might be that within shallow thought processes we're looking at students identifying or growing an awareness over certain key terms, over a definition, or new elements within a topic that they would then go on to study in much more depth later on. Essentially then, a shallow activity, we're looking at this surface learning, memorization, actually that idea of recall for students to engage within as a thought process. And at this stage, the students will still have quite a high level of dependence, whether that be dependence on us as teachers or dependence on resources within the classroom, just to help them commit some of these things into their memory. As we look at a deeper level of thought process then, students are now potentially meeting the expectations that would lead to mastery. Now, this would include them reflecting on their learning, but also then developing their thought processes as well, and maybe starting to see the links within the bigger picture and actually linking out to the wider context and just developing their schema as much as possible within a specific topic. What this will look like is students being quite independent with their learning, and maybe even students driving their learning forward for themselves as an individual. As we therefore then get up to the profound level, this is where the students can actually codify their learning. They can articulate it to themselves. There is that understanding that they will have so that they can then transfer that learning onto other people. Essentially then what we're looking at is students that can explain their understanding to others. They can use their intuition to be able to then articulate what they've learned, how they've learned, and maybe more importantly, why they have learned something. What we would see at a profound level is a student really embedding their knowledge so that it's retained over a long term, but it is also then applied to a multitude of different situations. Essentially what we're building here is interdependence, where students can therefore start to rely on each other for the answers, for the growth of knowledge, and for the development of their understanding around any given topic. So in terms of linking this back into the Bassett lesson then, we need to think about how do we achieve these things in our own lessons. So for that, we can start to talk about the criteria that we have for each part of the lesson itself. Essentially then, we can see here that in terms of our criteria, we have a lot about the students in these descriptions as opposed to the teachers themselves. So this is about putting more of the onus on the students to develop thought processes throughout different elements of the Bassett lesson so that we can help them to achieve that interdependence. So I guess the question comes back to, well, how do we achieve that? So an example could be for an activate that we have a bit of flipped learning. So in advance of a lesson, we're actually asking students to go and research a definition or go and get a list together of 10 key words, so that actually when they come to us, that shallow part of learning has already happened. They already have a definition. They already have some key words that we can then utilize within our activates to get them to start to apply, to get them to start to analyze these deeper thinking skills that will therefore then allow them to become more independent and therefore then more interdependent. I guess then the overall takeaway for everyone is to start to think, well, how can we manifest these things in our lessons? How do we prepare students at each stage of our lessons for profound thinking? It's not something that they can just undertake straight away. So preparation needs to be done. We need to build a good platform of thought processes for students so that they can reach that profound level. By that same notion, though, giving students the opportunity to hit profound thinking as soon as possible is going to massively increase the level of challenge that we can then place upon them, and especially on our higher prior attainers. I hope that some of this has been useful. I hope, as ever, it's provided some food for thought at the very least. If you do have any questions about it, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. But also, as you go through, please do remember those links out to our whiteboards that we used on the inset day, and any more ideas that you would like to add into those as you go along, they will be more than welcome. Thanks so much.